For raw thoughts, we can talk about the CHAD Red Bull and their and their
Yeah.
and their
Yeah,
amazing race, especially from the part of Max Verstappen, who did amazing P10 and then P1 at the end.
Yeah.
As we said, great strategy from Hannah Schmitz.
Yes.
Schmitz. Yeah, because of her, he jumped Hamilton at the first stop. He didn't have to pass him, and then they put the mediums at the right time. Even if it was a bit early, they did it perfectly, and he overtook Charles. He had that little spin, but he came back. And yeah, spin and win. He spun and he won.
Oh,
and
yeah. I like that.
Win.
I like the way you put it. Yeah.
Spin and win.
Yeah, just great race from Red Bull. Great strategy from the strategist. Great race from Max. Just great.
Yeah, right.
True.
There's absolutely nothing that I can think that I can complain about Red Bull at all last race, at least from Max's camp for sure.
Oh, but we forgot. He did have the spin was because of a clutch issue, so the car had some problems. And even during the Saturday, during qualifying, the reason because he was in P10 was because the engine wasn't working. So that's something to look out for Red Bull, because they are running away with the championship. But if the car breaks down in some races, then I think some can catch up.
That's a good point, because Saturday they did have that MG UK issue, which made them change their power units. And to be honest, that again brings exactly the question of engine reliabilities. Although the spin, I thought more was just checking if Charles is still behind him and how close he is. Let me just check what's happening with him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I completely agree to Roberto that, actually to think of it, Red Bull is having issues, but it's just that their issues are getting masked by some other team that I don't want to talk about right now. So it's difficult to, people just kind of forget that the fuck ups that Red Bull are doing because somebody else is doing a lot more. So, but man, truly hats off to Hannah Schmitz, man. I personally didn't know that she was the strategist. It was this race that I kind of got to know when kind of Max did a shout out to her as well. It's pretty brilliant that she has been in the team for 12 years. She's worked with almost most of the Red Bull drivers, like in the history, Vettel, Ricardo, Max, Perez, and it's very interesting to read about how she is a very calm and collected person. I read a profile on her where she has this technique of using her palm of her hands as a communication method, where basically if her palms are down on the table, it means this is serious, guys. You should just.
I didn't know that.
That's so a very interesting thing.
Yep. So interesting.
So overall, I think, and it shows, right? I think Red Bull in general, we could say that they generally don't miss out on strategy. Their strategy calls generally are on point. I honestly can't remember a race where they lost because of strategy alone, which is quite rare and quite interesting.
Yeah, the last one, I think, if I remember, maybe Spain last year, which wasn't even a fuck up. It was just Mercedes playing amazing game and boxing Hamilton at the very end, and he caught him at the end. So that's the only one I can remember. Honestly.
And that too they picked up on, and Red Bull did what Mercedes did to them at the French Grand Prix, and
exactly.
The other thing that was brilliant about that strategy yesterday was they were so quick on changing from that hards to softs, and bringing in Max early in sort of to do that undercut. And I heard the commentators say that this was sort of like a direct effect of Russell saying that he's struggling with his rears, which Red Bull picked up on that, hey, Russell said this, so probably he's going to come into pits in the next 5 laps. Let's go ahead with the pits. So I don't know if it's... And Russell was leading this race for the first time ever in his life. I mean, excluding the Mercedes Bahrain thing that happened. But this one was his show for real. And I don't know if that was that, or he's just naive, or because I'm pretty sure if Hamilton was doing this, him saying my rears are not feeling right would have actually meant I'm gonna go on for 20 more laps.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. It was kind of a giveaway from him, probably. But overall, I think talking about pit stops, right? Red Bull has again reached 2.1 seconds. Like just some time ago, because of the regulation changes and everything, all pit stops became slower. But I think this time they again reached 2.1 seconds, which is amazing. It's somehow like their strongest point, and yeah, man, I'm super. I just keep getting impressed by Red Bull. It's like, I personally kind of get irritated of Christian Horner a lot of times, like just because how much stirring he does. But have to give it to him that unless you don't have a proper leader, the team cannot be so cohesive. So he's definitely working his magic there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Ferrari should do similar to Red Bull and maybe prioritize Charles Leclerc in the championship. Even some races before, because before Carlos was very much behind. Now he's closed up, but he was very much behind. And if they prioritize Charles in, let's say, Silverstone, he would have honestly won the race, and the championship might have been a bit different. And I think the mentality at Ferrari should be a bit questioned, in my opinion.